Hey everyone, this is Steve Wright, and you're listening to the SCD Lifestyle Solution Podcast 22. All right. So, with me on the phone, my friend and partner, Jordan Reesner. How's it going, man?
It's awesome, man. It's beautiful in Michigan tonight, right?
Yeah, dude. Very nice night. Hopefully summer's around the corner. Getting sick of this weather.
I know, man. Stuck in the house doing podcasts, and it's beautiful out.
We should start doing podcasts on remote locations. I
Yes, like
like it.
like Bali.
It's a great idea. Maybe next week.
Yeah, let's schedule that, man. Get that in the schedule.
Okay. Yeah, sure. All right, well, back to reality now. This week, so we had a lack of questions pour in. It must be because we are answering every question out there. So we actually dipped into our inbox and pulled a couple of emails out that we thought would give you a lot of value if we answered them over the air. So I don't know about you, man, but I think this is going to be a cool idea, pulling some emails out.
Yeah, man. We've been sending some emails out before where we kind of have a little grab bag of email history, so this will be nice. I'm ready.
All right, cool. Well, let's kick it off then. Email number one. You gonna feed this one to me?
Yeah, are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. And I've had UC for over 10 years now. I tried the SCD diet years ago but failed miserably because of eating too much legal food whenever I wanted just because it was legal. I thought I would give it another shot because I was impressed with all the new material and resources out there today. I'm 10 days into the diet and I'm doing okay. By the third day into the diet, my trips to the bathroom had stopped. But I didn't go again for about 5 days. I didn't feel sick or backed up, but I also didn't feel like it was normal. To help move things along, I tried a little raw avocado and things got a little better. My one concern is lack of energy. I think I'm getting enough to eat, but I'm so tired all the time. I quit coffee before starting the diet, and that wasn't too hard because I don't drink a lot. But I had to start having a cup in the morning, black with a little honey, just so I don't pass out at work. Coffee doesn't seem to bother my stomach, so I felt it wouldn't hurt my chances of healing too much. I take 2 SCD multivitamins a day, but beyond that I'm not really sure what to do. I'm currently eating all the food included in Phase 1 and Phase 2 with minimal irritation. I have no problem sticking to the diet, and I've always been a good cook, but this lack of energy is killing me. Any info would be appreciated.
Okay, cool. Great. Thanks for the emails. So great work restarting the diet. That's awesome. And I think so far what you've experienced is pretty normal, I think. A lot of people have the kind of rebound where after a couple days they have a formed stool, and then maybe it takes a couple more days before they have to go again. So I think that's really normal. And the fact that you tried a little raw avocado and things seem to get better right away, I think is a really big clue to your puzzle. And what that tells me when you say something like that is that most likely you're not getting enough calories, and of the calories you're getting, you're not getting enough fat. So I think both of those are a big deal for the lack of energy, probably like the number one thing. And also those I think will definitely help your stools as well. So the first thing is to start tracking your calories with a calorie calculator. A lot of people make the mistake of saying that they know how much they're getting or that they know specifically that they're okay. And I trade a lot of emails with people like that until I finally say, just for 5 days, put your calories, put all your food into Fit Day, and look at the numbers. And a lot of them are pretty surprised. So if you're already doing that, great. I would say bump your calories up another 500. So if you're at 2,000, do 2,500. If you're at 2,500, do 3,000, something like that. And the easiest way to do that is, and it'll help you, is to get more fat. So I would recommend like 3 to 6 tablespoons of coconut oil a day. That's, we talked about coconut oil plenty of times, but it's great stuff, antimicrobial. It'll help you out in many ways. With the 2 SCD multivitamins a day, I'm not sure which brand you're taking. If you're taking Frida, that's, I believe, 1 pill or 2 pills shy. I think it might be 1 pill shy of the recommended dosage. You should look at the back of the label there for whatever multivitamin you're taking, and it'll tell you how many pills to take for one dosage. And a lot of people are surprised to see that sometimes it's 2 pills or 3 pills, and if you're taking GI Pro Health, it's actually 6 pills a day. And if you don't take 6 pills a day, then or whatever the total recommended dosage is, you're not going to get all the recommended amounts that are listed on the back of the label. So I think right there, that could help you out with some of your energy problems. The next thing that comes to mind for me is B12. A lot of people with digestive diseases are low in B12, so I would try supplementing with something like the Pure Encapsulations B12. It's a really stand-up brand. Unfortunately, B12 is a pretty hard supplement to get good quality with. There's a lot of specifics there, and won't get too far into them. But Pure Encapsulations makes a great brand, and unfortunately, not that as I know now, there's no SCD legal B12 supplements on the market. They all contain some sort of additive, and you just can't get around that to get a quality B12 supplementation or supplement. So it's kind of like in this instance, I would say go ahead and do it because it's just a small little dose of an illegal supplement or an illegal additive, which is in the Pure Encapsulations brand. It's stevia, and stevia is a natural additive for the most part. It's still processed, and don't get me wrong, it's SCD illegal, but I think in this instance, it's probably worth trying to supplement with it, and I don't think it's going to set your healing back. The last thing that I would say to look into right away is get your vitamin D checked, and that's a 25 OHD test. Get that checked out. Make sure it's at the proper levels, at least 40 nanograms or higher. If it's not that high, I would try supplementing with GI Pro Health vitamin D3. It's very cheap, one a day thing. I think a $10 bottle will last you a couple months. So that's what I'd say to get rolling right there. Jordan, you got anything?
Yeah, just a couple quick things. Definitely get the fats up. I just wanted to point out that he mentioned that actually eating avocado helped things, so that's kind of a sign that the fats are definitely helping you go in the right direction. So that should be some good support with what Steve said. And then the other thing I wanted to add is that back when I was deficient with B12, I did find a company called New Beginning Nutritionals makes a liquid B12 sublingual drop, and it's called Methylmate. And I don't believe it. I actually think it's SCD legal. It only has the B12, and then it has purified water, potassium sorbate, and citric acid. So that's something to look into also. New Beginnings Nutritionals Methylmate. So check that out too.
Yeah, I didn't even remember about that, man. Good thing you brought that up. And I would say with the B12s, we have experience with Pure Encapsulations with GI Pro Health B12, which is very good as well, although it does have one illegal additive that's a little sweetener like stevia as well, and then the New Beginnings. So we've tried all three between us, and none of the illegal additive ones gave us setbacks, but obviously if you can be legal at all times, it's the best route to take. So we'll post all those links.
All right, man. Great work. Let's keep rolling.
Cool. All right. So email number 2. I'm waiting to start SCD diet fully, and I've taken steps building up to the start date. I just learned how to cook the chicken soup, which turned out good and tastes fine. I have yet to order a yogurt maker that is on my to-do list. The main reason I'm waiting to start is low on weight. The last 2 months was my largest flare for 3 years, having UC for 5 years. This time I've decided to tackle the flare with no steroids. Almost steroid-free for 2 years, I have my reasons for not taking them. They only worked when taking 40 milligrams a day. The next paragraph goes on to say that he's gained 3 pounds in a week, and I'm not out of my flare, and I know that taking only Pentasa, it could be months still in my flare. Even so, I have followed a lot of the SCD rules. I never eat bad things apart from lactose-free milk and Cheerios, the cereal, and the odd muffin with gluten. I feel I cannot start the diet until I am back to my healthy weight, which is 20 pounds away. Also, I'm going to Turkey in 2 months, and it will be hard for me to start, but it is my sister's wedding, and I said yes a long time ago. I did read how we were both able to handle the diet on a holiday. I feel like I will just eat less in Turkey. It's going to be hard when eating out, which I have been told will be every night. No idea how to handle this. I never go out to eat in the UK, and the time I did, eating duck and other things, I had a bad reaction the day after.
All right. Okay, good question. A couple of things to start off with. So the first thing is I always really struggle. We get emails, pretty often where people say, I can't start the SCD diet. I really want to start it. I'm in a bad flare. I got all this horrible stuff going on, but I'm going to lose weight on the diet, so I can't start till I get back to a healthy weight. And I struggle with that because right now, the foods that you're eating and the flare that you're in are making you completely malabsorb all the food you're eating. The calories that you're eating, the nutrients that you're eating, they're just coming right out. You're going to lose weight, and if you maintain weight, it's not going to be a healthy function of your body. You're not going to be getting the nutrients you need. Your body's going to be starving in a sense for good energy and good nutrients and minerals. Um, so it doesn't ever make sense to me when somebody says, I can't start the diet until I gain healthy weight. And then when I get there, which is going to be someday, I'm going to get there and then I'll start the diet. And I can't identify with that logic because you need to start eating healthy. You need to change the way you're doing things right now so that you can fix the malabsorption, so that you can fix the nutrient issues, so you can get your blood levels back to where they need to be for all the vitamins and minerals that you're not getting. And then the weight will happen. When your body starts to heal and you eat enough calories, you eat enough fats and proteins, your weight will come back. You just have to make sure you eat enough calories on the diet, but really, it's just, to me, it's not logical to use weight loss as a reason not to start the diet when, as you are right now, your body's starving in a literal sense. So that's my first point. Um, the other point is you said that you're going to Turkey in 2 weeks. So that's another reason
Two
why you,
months.
2 months, thank you. So that's another reason why you're thinking of not starting the diet. And my question to you is, would you rather, maintain this flare for 2 months and then go to Turkey and then come back and get it figured out? Or would you rather handle it now, go to Turkey, and maybe you have a little bit of a setback from, contamination there, maybe you don't, but those 2 months of your life you're actually going to feel better than you would if you didn't change your diet? That's another question I would pose to you, in terms of reasons to not start the diet yet. Um, as far as when you're in Turkey, if you're going to have to eat out every night, it's going to be tough, but you're going to want to order meats and just some steamed veggies if you can. And when you request the meats, make sure there's no seasonings used or that they're not marinated in anything. Just say you want the plain meat right out of the package, cooked on its own pan if you can. That's going to be your best bet. Just try to get meats and steamed veggies. Stick to some fruits if you can. If you have to eat them raw, that might be better than eating something that's going to be contaminated or contain sugars or something like that. But you got to go to Turkey. It's your sister's wedding, so I would focus on getting as healthy as you can, so you can go to Turkey, enjoy the wedding, and be healthy and feel good. In terms of your flare, I would really focus, if you're going to do this steroid-free, which is perfectly fine, I would really focus on dairy-free for sure, maybe even egg-free, but just focus on eating meats, fruits, vegetables, and fats. A lot of fats. Keep your fruit in moderation, and just focus on trying to get out of that flare before you go to Turkey, so you can be healthy and enjoy your wedding with your sister. So that's all I've got on that, pretty much. Steve, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of sum it up a little bit there, but I think you hit pretty much everything on the head. I mean, when I read this email, I just, why would you want to, you're saying usually Pentasa and flares take months to, Pentasa takes months to get somebody out of a flare. Well, if that's the case, modify your diet right away, man. We talk with people all the time who get out of flares just using SCD. So if you're already on a prescription med, why not use SCD right away? And then I think it's a pretty common objection. I mean, we picked this email for a reason, but a lot of people will say there's an event a couple weeks away, or in this case, 2 months away, and they'll use that as a reason not to start the diet because they know that during that event, it's going to be tough to be SC legal, or they're sure that they can eat SC legal, but it might be really advanced foods like advanced foods, excuse me, nuts and fruits and things like that. And I would say that, that's just bad logic again in my head because right now you're starting from like negative 100 on the healing scale. And if you go out and fix your diet and really get some results from SCD in 2 months, you could be at 0 or maybe plus 20, if you went from a negative 100 to a 100 scale. I don't know, maybe you're still at negative 20, but that's going to be a heck of a lot better starting point um, than negative 100 after that big event. So if you work on your health, you work on SCD for 2 months, and you get like halfway of your scale, so you go from negative 100 to 0, and then you're at 0, you're eating a limited diet, but your symptoms are pretty much gone, and then you go to Turkey and you get caught up and you eat out a couple times and things don't go as well. Maybe you drop down to negative 20, negative 30. But when you get back to the UK to start again, then you're only at negative 20. You're not at negative 100. So it's just going to be that much faster that you're going to get back to the positive side of health and be healed longer, faster. So yeah, the last thing about this email, the reason why we picked it was the weight theme that runs through it, and so many people email us about not or wanting to gain weight, or they refuse to start the diet because they're not at a healthy weight level. And I mean, that's one of the things right now that we get a lot of emails, and that we're thinking about doing the free teleclass for people who have bought a book on is gaining weight, how to do it better. So I think the answers tonight should get most of the people started in the right direction. There's no secrets out there when it comes to gaining weight, and I just hope it helps.
All right, nice work, man. Couple good nuggets there. I'm gonna roll right into the next. This is actually transitioning over to some questions people sent in the survey. So here we go. This is survey question number 1. I have ulcerative colitis and kidney disease. Because of the kidney disease, I cannot eat a high-protein diet. On the SCD diet, I noticed that my protein intake was through the roof since most of what I ate was meat. Do you have any tips on how I can lower my protein intake while still ensuring I get adequate calories? Thanks, Chris.
Cool. Thanks for submitting the question, Chris. Great question. Doing SCD with a lot of meat can be high protein. And in your case, with the kidney disease, you definitely need to be in the lower end of the protein spectrum. So the first thing I would say is getting adequate calories is not going to be a problem. Number one thing to do right away is, start eating avocado. You can have, like one a day probably. That'll be 350 calories of basically all fat right there. Again, you could start supplementing with the coconut oil, 3 to 6 tablespoons a day. That's going to give you anywhere from like 400 to 800 calories a day. All extremely healthy for you. There's obviously coconut milk as well. And in your case, because you do have the kidney disease, you're dealing with a little bit different problems than most. I would say, feel free to make sure you're getting at least, 3 servings of fruit a day. You know, if you're feeling really good on SCD so far, try getting some eggs. See if you're allergic to eggs. If you react to them, not allergic to them. If you react to them, and you can have, well, eggs. Eggs are kind of a mixture of fat and protein, but they'll be really good for you. And I mean, there's a lot of things you can do. Basically, you could try the nuts as well. Nuts are higher in fat than in protein. So there's lots of little tweaks there. I would start with the avocado, the coconut oil, and probably maybe some nut flour products. The biggest thing to also do is, 3 servings of fruit or so a day, maybe 5 at the high end, but I wouldn't go any higher than that. And just see what happens if you're tracking your calories. See how it shifts around. The other thing is to eat fattier cuts of meat, such as don't eat like chicken breasts or something. Eat pork, eat the loins, eat the roasts from the beef or something like that. It's gonna be a lot fattier than, say, like a flank steak or some other cut of steak or a chicken breast. So that's all I got.
Excellent, man. Good answer. I don't have anything to add.
All right, survey question number 2. My name is Sandy, and I have one of the markers for celiac disease, tested high for Candida, and I've had lifelong chronic constipation. as well as a whole host of other symptoms such as fatigue, depression, dry skin, fogginess, allergies, etc. I've been on a combination of SCD and GAPS since January 1st, 2011. I've really gotten into cooking and feel a bit better, but I'm not where I want to be yet, especially with this constipation. I'm working on it. Meanwhile, my question is this. I've been taking Biocalt as my probiotic, but after a bit of research, I'm thinking I'd like to switch it out for a probiotic without bifidus. The problem is that I have a really hard time swallowing pills, so they have to be small like Biocalt. Do you know of an SCD legal probiotic that comes in a small pill? Maybe a kid's version. By the way, my husband and I just started listening to your blogs. Love them. We also bought your books, and we're looking forward to diving into them. Sandy. Well, thanks for purchasing the book, Sandy. Jordan, it's all you, man.
All right, thanks, Sandy. That's a great question. I'm going to start off with the Candida that you mentioned. Um, just on a side note, that's something that I dealt with a lot in the beginning, but I feel like I'm pretty well clear of it now. One of the big things with Candida is focus on keeping the sugar content in moderation. You mentioned that you've been in a combination of SCD and GAP, so I'm not really sure what that means and what aspects of both that you're doing. They're pretty similar, but there's definitely some different methodologies there. But I would definitely look at keeping your fruit in moderation. If it's really bad, there's, definitely coconut oil is going to help. It's antimicrobial. You can definitely consider taking something like a nystatin if you're up for that. That'll help just pull out the Candida and you pass it out. But you can actually get that compounded at a custom compounding facility like Hopewell Pharmacy. That's what I did so that it was SCD legal if you're worried about that. But that'll help a little bit with some of that. With the chronic constipation, we've talked a lot about that even on this podcast too, but definitely you got to increase your fats a lot. And then the probiotic piece of the constipation is also really going to help. I know you said you mentioned that you read about not taking bifidus, and after doing some research, so the big thing that I always say is bifidus is one of those bacteria that's not a good neighbor. So if you have a lot of it, it will take over and kind of push out some of the other good bacteria, so it can be negative. But like in my case, I had a CDSA done that actually told me that my readings for lacto was actually +3, but my bifida reading was no growth at all. So I knew that I did need bifidus, but I still waited quite a while to try it. But once I did try it, it did a pretty good thing for me. But I would encourage you to try to get a CDSA done to see what you've got going on there, because that can really help you dial in on what you need to do. But in the meantime, if you're going to switch off Biocalt, which is probably not a bad idea, there's a couple different things you can try. In terms of the probiotics themselves, if you ordered something like the 10 billion per pill, 10 billion CFU per pill, GI Pro Scidophilus, which is just lacto, when you order that, that comes in a really a smaller pill, but if you're not comfortable with it, something that I did for a long time, when I was taking a lot of those in one day, I would just pull the capsules apart and shake the powder out into a glass and just put some cold water in it. Don't use warm water. I put cold water in it and just take a shot of water to drink my probiotics, and they are completely tasteless. They have no taste at all. In fact, one trick that I've used to help prevent my son from getting sinus infections and ear infections when he has a cold is I'll throw some straight dry probiotic right on the back of his tongue, right out of a GI Pro pill. And they're tasteless. He doesn't mind. I've done it myself. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. You could try that. I know GI Pro does have an infant formula that you could try that I believe it is a powder. But I would just recommend that you get some pills like the ones from GI Pro and just break them off into, just open the capsules up and drink them in a shot of water. And I think that that'll help alleviate a lot of the pill taking problems that you're having. But definitely to close it back up, if you get your probiotics switched over and start taking some just pure lacto, I think you'll see some improvement. I would work up to 20, 30 billion CFUs a day pretty quickly. I know the Biocalt is much higher than that, so you might see a little bit of a difference when you switch over. I would definitely keep your fats up. That's really going to help, and keep your fruit in moderation. Anything else to add, Steve?
No, I think you pretty well covered it, man.
All right, I'm going to keep rolling. Here is the next question. Hi, I love your podcast. They are great help. My daughter has Crohn's and has been on the diet for 10 months. We were just at a naturopathic doctor and he did some blood, stool, and hair tests on her, and it showed that she still has a high level of Candida and mercury in her body. Do you have any ideas of how to get rid of them other than the diet? Thanks, Sue.
Thanks for the question, Sue. And it's a great question. We just talked a little bit about Candida in the question before yours, but I'll go into it a little bit more in depth. So you said, is there anything other than diet? Well, diet and Candida are very, very interrelated. So please do not dismiss the role that diet plays in Candida. Um, you need to be on a very low sugar version to beat Candida. I would say no more than two servings of fruit a day. Many people go no fruit, no honey to see results. I would definitely throw out honey, no more honey in the diet. Um, Candida feeds directly on the glucose, on the sugar molecules, so stay away from that. And then to get rid of Candida, if she has a really high level and it's probably in many places throughout her body, such as like thrush on the tongue and that kind of thing, the best thing to really do is to get some prescription help, like Jordan talked about the nystatin. That's the number one recommendation that we have for Candida, just because it's been around for so long. It's really proven. We both have experience on it. Now, if you didn't want to go with nystatin, you wanted to stay away from prescription pills, you could try caprylic acid, which is another antifungal, and it does really well against nystatin, or excuse me, it does really well against Candida as well. So that's definitely something to look into. Um, with the Candida, you're going to want anti-yeast things. So coconut oil, I know that's part of the diet, but hey, it's antimicrobial. I'd be loading up on that stuff if I was you. As far as the mercury goes, I don't have a whole lot of experience there, so I'm not really going to make any real recommendations there. I would say to try to get the Crohn's and Candida handled first, and hopefully the mercury will take care of itself. I know there might be something to look into there with a connection of low iodine and mercury, but it's mercury is a pretty weird science there with a lot of people doing some crazy chelating stuff. So not really comfortable giving any recommendations there. But I would definitely address the Candida, and I think that'll help with the Crohn's right away. And then maybe get those same tests you just had done redone in 3 months after she does like a 3-month round of nystatin as well as the low sugar diet, and I think you'll see a lot of results.
Very nice, very nice.
Cool. Well, let's keep it rolling on to the last question for the night. Okay. I've had colitis for about 6 years, and I've been on SCD diet for a couple months, and I've been seeing steady improvement. My stools have become more formed, but lately I've noticed that they have a furry appearance. It's kind of like they're hairy. Any idea what would make my stools look like this? Thanks. Nothing like a nice poop question to end the night, baby.
You know, how come every week I get stuck with these poop questions, man? I'm always talking about poop like it's some kind of work of art, you know?
Because I know you get you so excited.
Yes, I get very excited talking about poop.
See?
Let's get into this. Let's get our hands dirty. All right. So, uh, hairy poop. Interesting. So, believe it or not, this is something I can relate to. I have had movements as I was healing that had a furry appearance. And I did do some research on it at the time, and I've checked into it just throughout different research we've done since then. Uh, really going through the Bristol stool chart and looking at, okay, what is a perfect poop? What's constipation? What's diarrhea? What is that caused by? What is that related to? So if you're really trying to be a detective and understand what a furry appearance, when things are looking kind of hairy, what that might mean, I haven't found a lot of stuff on it, but my personal opinion as I was healing and knowing what happened, after I got a little better, is that I noticed that when I was having a hairy, furry appearance on things, it seemed like that was indicating that I had a faster transit time, like things just weren't well packed, they weren't taking enough time to be getting all the nutrients absorbed and becoming well formed. So that gave me a sign that I was having something that was probably triggering a movement, triggering a little bit of irritation before it was needed to be. So what I actually found is that by mistake is that once I eliminated dairy, I was only eating a little bit of aged cheddar. At the time, that was the only dairy I was having, and I was having it once a day, kind of at the same time. It usually be around dinner. And the next morning, I'd have these furry stools. It was like things were just speeding up a little too quickly. So once I accidentally ran out of cheese when I got back from a trip from Arizona, and I didn't have any for a week, I they stopped, and all of a sudden things were slowing down a little bit. My movements were kind of starting to spread out in time. So maybe I had one like the next afternoon, and then even going a step further, I'd miss a day, and they were more well formed. The furry appearance was gone. They seemed more well packed. They were easy to push out. I didn't have to push at all. Um, so, and I also had noticed that I had less urgency when the furriness went away. So that's my thoughts, is that you probably have something that you're eating. Probably, it could be one of the four horsemen like dairy. It could be egg. It could be you're eating way too much tomato or way too much fruit, or something along those lines that is triggering your movements to move a little too quickly. It's not enough to really give you diarrhea, but it's still just enough where you're not absorbing enough nutrients and it's just moving through you too quick. So I would think about troubleshooting a little bit. Maybe think about testing no dairy if you're having dairy. That's what worked for me. But it was pretty fascinating. As soon as I stopped my dairy, things firmed up and I started having those number fours that I've been having ever since. So something to think about. You should use that as a cue that you're just not quite there yet. But you're close. You're probably one or two tweaks away from perfect poops. Trust me on that one.
Oh, we'll trust you. That's for sure.
All right, man. Well, that's all I got. That's the end of the podcast for tonight, man.
Yeah, it was a good little session. I want to thank everybody who sent in a question for tonight's podcast. And going forward, again, just send in your podcast questions. There's a link at the bottom of this post. We'd love to answer them, and if they're a little bit out there, we'll do as much research as we can to try to explain it. Thanks for listening to the SCD Lifestyle Solution Podcast 22.